Jerusalem, you the one, say lie like Judah, son. Pray I bring the truth to some. Speed fast in a coupe some. Bring the last to the pinnacle roof. Yeah, the letter I spits, the letter I write. Use the force like a Jedi Knight. Air Force like red eye white. Scatter force, I bet I might. Speed off, see you swerve down the street lost. Heart beats off. Never know if this life could be lost. Might tee off. Make it run like Chuck Carrey, dog. Run, nigga, run. Young niggas at the bottom like we came the ones. Young niggas at the bottom like we came the ones. Like we came the ones. Young niggas at the bottom like we came the ones. Like we came the ones. Young niggas at the bottom, gotta leave fast like Sodom. Gotta creep fast, hit the street sad, the day be bad till they taught them. Now we be fast, so they beat fast, to pray we fast, for we call them. Yup, seats hang like fruit. My eye keys we gang like Bruce. My eye keys we hang like noose. From a city I claim rights to. From a city I claim rights to. Will I make it through the gate? Pray I do. Famous last words, forgive me too. All of my fam, I pray they do. Gotta repent or we can't get through. Gotta repent or we can't get through. No, I'm from a city in the Middle East, best city in the whole wide, wide world. Say, I'm from a city in the Middle East, best city in the whole wide, wide world. Say, I'm from a city in the Middle East, best city in the whole wide, wide world. Say, city in the whole wide world. Say, city in the whole wide world. Say, I'm from a city in the Middle East, best city in the whole wide, wide world. I'm from a city in the Middle East, best city in the whole wide, wide world. I'm from a city in the Middle East, best city in the whole wide, wide world. Say, city in the whole wide world. Say, city in the whole wide Shofar blow, we so far gone. Babylon came to town and they stole our home. Put us up on the trees and they broke our homes. Gave lemons, made juice like Omar Bro. Bishops robbing cops and robbers. It's such a problem, who can solve it? We walk the block with eats and Bibles. Teach the streets to seek survival. Bring peace to junkies, creeps and shotters. Peace to riders. No right foot creep when the beef is ours. We don't have the same heat when police are violent. So we ain't real G's to the streets is ours. Beast devour, can't lock step with coward. Come and preach every week, but the hungry scholar. Bringing more than just words. We pour in suburbs. The score is never settled till you're in the furs. All my saints that call Yahweh, stay on your team till it all is ours. See the fig tree, Esau devours, take the kingdom forever and ever and ever and ever. All my saints that call Yahweh, stay on your team till it all is ours. See the fig tree, Esau devours, take the kingdom. Yeah, culture dealer, dope for real, a hope for the lowest hill, the broken spirit. I was told to open prison, store the sick and broken bones, repair every broken home. Know your role, our house is a broken home. Fell away from our God, so we broke our bones. Deuteronomy 6:8 till I please my God. See, I bind them fast in between my eyes. In the spirit till we rise and the king preside. Man is flawed, lean on God. Damn, it's hard to see her side. Cameras off and damn, I off the need to cry. Deeds aside. We should be well known where your light show. And you know we used to be up in the night. Now we let the spirit and the light show. Tired of being dark, so we see you in the light. Let's go. All my saints that call Yahweh, stay on your team till it all is ours. See the fig tree, Esau devours, take the kingdom forever and ever and ever and ever. All my saints that call Yahweh, stay on your team till it all is ours. See the fig tree, Esau devours, take the kingdom forever and ever and ever. This here for Amya for show. Only see Abba and Zadok for show. Never keep pride or they eat your soul. Music for the kings and I preach your show. This here for Amya for show. Only see Abba and Zadok for show. Never keep pride or they eat your soul. Music for the kings and I preach your know. Live. Oh, I can feel it. Jerusalem, you the one, say lie like Judah, son. Pray I bring the truth to some. Speed fast in a coupe some. Bring the last to the pinnacle roof. Yeah, the letter I spits, the letter I write. Use the force like a Jedi Knight. Air Force like red eye white. Scatter force, I bet I might. Speed off, see you swerve down the street lost. Heart beats off. Never know if this life could be lost. Might tee off. Make it run like Chuck Carrey, dog. Run, nigga, run. Young niggas at the bottom like we came the ones.
Hey, I'm ready for you.
spiritual memory testifies to the legacy. Exit the boat with heritage, now we abide in heresy. Trying to reimagine the structure like doing puzzles without a picture to go by. Generations of blow by. Now we trying to forge us a culture within the midst of this. So don't be too confounded when some of our efforts missing it. Is it impossible that these spiritual obstacles like chains on your spirit? If you listen, you hear it. We can make a striped suit to the new fashion. What if that power landed within the right hands? Made it cool to be illiterate. Proving that we niggerish when who you see are fools are just the chosen seed regenerate. Breaking through the concrete, bringing light to our pain. Our maladies are our public, our efforts can't be sustained. It's like a stigmatism, we don't see reality. We look up to celebrities, forget our principality. Oh.
Yogic.
Israel study night and day just to cut each other. If only we could see to love each other. When the last time you thought to hug instead of mean mug a brother? Or even pray the Father never cease to love the brother. Damn, the people nodding on my blood fam. We all washed by the sun lamb. He was led to the slaughter like a dumb lamb. He didn't bother, knew the Father had some plan. We see the news nightly, singing blues, channel 2. Keep our people in the snooze, and the noose is far too likely. From the place that make you think of light blue Nikes. Smashing on these blue devils, we the battle axes. Thunder pounding, knock Haaretz off his slanted axes. Now we finally upright, walking righteous practice. From Rashid to Hazon, that's living lyrics. Water for the living spirit. Scout with a globe for compositions that tell a story. Write a novel just to share his glory. Over audio, this division of Obadiah, Joel, Malachi, and Zechariah. We desire to Kayam higher by the Most High to gather fruit from the yard. Until we notice that every tree has been scarred, left unattended by the tenants that would sleep while other creatures entered. And now it's time to see the treatment rendered. At the feast, we see the preachers hindered. And now the people are deceased. Remember reading stories of Moses trying to bring the people through the desert with a heart and heart. Imagine how they made it hard. We get creative trying to play the part, and ever subtle trying to live the scriptures. You'll be surprised with niggas just for pictures. At every summit with their secret interests, the baddest garments and the biggest fringes. Phylacteries like cobblestones restrict the sight and vision. We the Ezras of the new age. See the correlation, the unfaithful was regenerated. We mix tapes till the shit breaks. Now we victims of preaching for views. Check the tool for the clickbaits and lengthy titles. We just trying to peruse who the Father would use within this generation. Will it be you?
Yogic.
Yeah. Shalom, y'all. Put a 7 in the chat if y'all can hear me. I know it's already acting stupid. Y'all put a 7 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Yeah, y'all put a 7 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Baba Kasha. All right. Yeah. Shalom, shalom, everybody. All right, sound like y'all can hear me. Good. All praises. Y'all give me just a second, please. Here by myself today. Y'all hit the like button when y'all come in the building, Baba Kasha. Yeah, pull up on in here. We'll start in about a minute. All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna just stay like this for a minute. I don't know why it's tripping. But shalom, y'all. How about Shem Shabrakatah? I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai. All right. I want to say shalom to y'all. I'm brother all the aristocrat. It's another episode of Milk Monday. I'm here by myself today. Knock ain't gonna be on. It's gonna be a pretty good class. It's gonna be a part 2 from last week. So if you didn't watch last week, I suggest that you go watch that. Now at this point, you're gonna have to watch it afterwards, but make sure that you watch it so you fully understand the gist of the class. All right. Just to give you guys a recap of last week. We literally went through the history of how the Jewish man took the history of the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, how they stole your identity, right? We started with the history of the so-called Black Hebrew Israelite movement, right? With Wilson or William Crowdy. We proved how he was creating churches from 1893 to 1905. You know what I'm saying? Places that span from DC to South Africa. All right. And F.S. Cherry, who was a Scottish Rite Mason, which is good to understand for this class that we have going on today. He started a congregation in 1886 in Tennessee and, made a bunch of different congregations throughout the United States between then and 1915, right? And he's also the one that started the rumor of Yahweh Shai coming back sometime in the 2000s. So, but with their history and the time frame that they come out from, right? It's interesting because it's around the same period that the B'nai B'rith, or Sons of the Covenant, is created by the Jewish people. And through this movement, they basically create their Anti-Defamation League. They get to take over the banks in Europe. They start basically just allowing the rabbis to teach the different things that they teach in their community as far as how the other people are goyim, and this whole plot for world domination, right? That we're kind of going to go into today. That thing that Hitler kind of spoke about, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll read a little bit of that today too. So that the B'nai B'rith organization begins in October 13th, 1843, right? And we got Julius Rosenwald, the philanthropist, who starts the Rosenwald Fund in the early 1900s. And we know, based on I know my camera's off. My stuff is tripping. Just give me a second, guy. So, so the Rosenwald Fund basically starts the situation where it puts a bunch of our people in a place where they're able to move up in the world now. So early 1900s, a lot of our people are funded by the Rosenwald Fund. This is how a lot of the jazz and rock stuff starts in Harlem. It's how the hip hop industry starts. It's how basically everything starts, right? Through this Rosenwald Fund and the things that would span and come from it afterwards. The NAACP, all these different things that would eventually span from that, like your BET company and all that type of stuff, right? Your MTV, where we get all these different awards for being entertainers and stuff. All of that comes from the Rosenwald Foundation, which, is Jewish philanthropy. And it's something that they use to make sure that they always have a close tie to the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American cultures and organizations, right? Because the main thing that we all can join together in is music, right? And entertainment, something that we all have in common that we could do no matter where we are in one of the places that we were put into slavery, right? All the people from any of those places can be good at entertaining or, making music or something like along those lines. So he knows that, or the Jewish man rather, knows that if they could get us involved in their stuff from that standpoint, it'll be easy to control us from every other angle, which it has. Because from this, they've been able to get us into sports, you know what I'm saying? And now we're into politics, doing the different things that they want. So they've basically got us screwed from every angle, right? And they've got us controlled from every single industry that we could possibly think of that would allow us to make a good living for ourselves, right? It's them who have been able to take control of this. So we kind of went over last week how they did it from the standpoint of your identity, right? Shout out to Stokely, the brother that helped us with that. And today we're going to be watching a video from Mr. Fagan, Myron Fagan, who is a Jewish man who kind of denounced his Jewishness, but he's somebody who was real close to the Rothschilds and basically ratted them out before he was put down. And there's a book that has audio, and a lot of his information is what Coakley was going over when we watched the video last week. So got a couple of clips that I want you guys to watch that you're going to pay attention to. There'll be pretty good information for you guys. And I also suggest that you just, I suggest you take notes. It's not going to be too many precepts, but this is definitely going to be information that y'all can use. You know what I'm saying? So Salakia for the delay on the camera. I don't know why it's doing this, but StreamYard just does me dirty every Monday. So, all right, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into it. So I got a couple clips. I got one from Dr. Amos Wilson. I got one from Yusuf Ben Yakanan. We'll play that one a little later. And of course, the Myron Fagan one is the main one. He'll explain to you how the Rothschilds got their power, leading or speaking from the standpoint of the class that we just went over last week. So, but this is Amos Wilson. Check this out. I wanted to play a couple seconds, about 3 minutes maybe, of his clip, just so y'all can hear his standpoint of the anti-Semitism thing, so that y'all can see how it ties in from last week.
I was astonished. English boy like Wallace and Gromit, or Gromit and Wallace.
Semitism stuff that's got LIV jammed up. Oh yeah. People, at one point it's not a race, it's a religion. At another point it's a race. What's going on here? The thing that you have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a political strategy. Yes, sir. And an economic what?
Strategy. Go back in a second.
An instrument of what? Control. A means by which one can control the behavior of others. You can call it religion, ethnicity, anything you want to, but its ultimate reality is that it is used to do what? Control the behavior and perceptions of other people in the interest of the people who belong to that thing. That's all it is. And the first question you ask, and so the thing goes out, you're anti-Semitic. Now, it doesn't matter what you said, whether you told the truth or not the truth, or this or that, it has nothing to do with that. Not at all. It has to do, now the next question you're going to ask is, oh, how can I not be anti-Semitic? Don't say this, don't say that, don't do this, don't do that, and then we won't call you what? Anti-Semitic. And so in striving to be what? Not anti-Semitic, you then what? Fall under the control of another people. Regardless as to whether they are right or wrong, or regardless of how unfair they are, as soon as you meet the requirements of not being called anti-Semitic, you're under control. And
so I just wanted to kind of let him say that, kind of lay the grounds for how much that plan has worked, right? So this is Dr. Amos Wilson. He's the old Pan-Africanist, but also knew the Bible. All the Pan-Africanists in the 90s and the 60s and the 50s and the 80s and stuff like that, they all knew the Bible. And because the Israelites were prevalent, but we weren't in the public eye like that, they were able to go sneak into our schools and stuff like that, sit down a couple weeks, learn some things about the stuff our elders were teaching. Then they'd be able to sneak on out and preach the same exact stuff we was teaching as if it came from them, right? And Amos was one of the guys that used to do that a lot. Khalid Muhammad used to do that a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of folks that used to do that. But I wanted to play that because he was giving a lecture on the standpoint of anti-Semitism, and he started to understand that, this word wasn't just a word that has something to do with the people that live over there, right? Or that are from that area. It really just had something to do with a political ideal and a political, like a political plan, if you will, right? On how they would use this word to basically make it impossible to criticize them in any type of way. If you did, you'd be anti-Semitic, and that word would come with consequences, right? So that's that. So just wanted to share that with y'all. Salakia again for the skipping in the technical difficulties. They just do that to me on Monday. My service is fine. If y'all was to play the video from California, we're gonna do the same thing. So, but this next video we're gonna play is Myron Fagan. So this is the main part of the class. This I want y'all to just really listen to, pay attention. And it's gonna really tie in some things from last week, right? Just to kind of get a breakdown on this table in front of you. These are the things that have started from the B'nai B'rith group, right? So B'nai B'rith is, again, what I told you guys started their whole plan. It's what the whole Balfour Declaration is under the B'nai B'rith, right? The Anti-Defamation League is under the B'nai B'rith. The Council of Foreign Relations, which is the league that is running everything in America under what they would, what you guys would know as the Illuminati, right? It was a real thing, and there's a book on it and everything like that. That's going to be mentioned by Mr. Fagan. The reason it seems like a myth now is because that also has been part of the plan, right? If you remember the book that I gave you guys last time, the PDF, it was called let me make sure. It was called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, right? So in this book, or this PDF, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, America being a corporation, they have to put all the information of the things that they plan on doing out to the public, right? They have to allow the employees to know what's going to happen in the corporation. So every so often, America has to put certain things out for people to understand what's going to be happening, right? They put out a protocol book for the world, and they put out, the book for the people in charge, which would be the Protocols for the Elders of Zion. And you, the people, get to read this thing, but most people don't know about it, so they don't choose to go look up stuff like that. So in this Protocols for the Elders of Zion, though, it's a book that constantly changes based on the plans that they have and what has worked over the years, right? What things still need to happen. They're going to work to engineer to make those things happen, right? So, for example, right now, the plan is, one world currency type of system. So they're ushering out the fiat system to give us a digital currency system, right? Which is in turn going to make it easier for them to control everybody's currency, know what's going on, and make it a single world system, right? Which will move it closer to the new world order, right? Of this one world government. That's what they want. That's their plan. And that's kind of what you're going to learn about today. All right. So, but yeah, you got the Council of Foreign Relations. They run everything here in America. Of course, you know about the United Nations, and we know about the biblical standpoint that they share. They're also a part of this table, right? They all span from the Council of Foreign Relations. That would be the people who run it here in America, right? And the families of the Council of Foreign Relations, they're the ones who get to run America, right? And all of them are related somehow, some way. That's why when Barack and Hillary were going at it for president, the fact came out that they're cousins, right? On Barack's mama's side. That's because Barack's mom is one of the people who is a descendant of the elders of the, foreign relations, right? So that's how him and Hillary are cousins, and they're related and stuff like that. And they both got to serve in the government. And, they have the power that they have. It's because they're part of the family that started the Council of Foreign Relations. That's why, that so-called black man got to run, because they knew he wasn't really a black man, in his family on the side that counts, right? The mother side is, she's the family that counts, right? The Jewish man. So says the Bilderberg Group. If you don't know about them, they're basically the highest financial power around. The Trilateral Commission, they basically run everything from the Council of Foreign Relations, United Nations, and the Bilderberg Group. That spans from the Royal Institute of International Affairs, which is the British version of the Council of Foreign Affairs, right? Same family, just the people that didn't come over to America to take over things, the ones that stayed over in Britain, they have the Royal Institute of International Affairs. And then there's the Club of Rome, which is like your Knight Templars, the ones that really get to be in the know, right? So that's the table. Now let's get the information.
Is the crux of the great conspiracy to destroy the sovereignty of the United States.
And I'm sorry his voice sound like this, but this really what this dude sound like, and they got AI retelling the story from his standpoint. So lucky. But Myron Fagan, everybody. This is Nathaniel Meyer Rothschild. He's the father of the Rothschilds, right? So he's the one that started everything. The B'nai B'rith was funded by him. Napoleon was funded by him, and his family. Both standpoints of World War I, the opposing side and the defending side, were both, funded by the Rothschilds. Same thing with World War II. Hitler's side was funded by them, and the Jewish side, of course, was funded by them. The killing of the 600,000 or less Jewish people at the hands of Hitler was also funded by them and given the okay by them, which you'll all see in the telling of this book. So, or here rather. So, without further ado.
And the enslavement of the American people within a UN one world dictatorship is a complete and unknown mystery to the vast majority of the American people. The reason for this unawareness of the frightening danger to our country and to the entire free world is simple. The masterminds behind this great conspiracy have absolute control of all of our mass communication.
So, real quick, right? You've got the Rothschild table. Does anybody know what this room is? Right quick. I'm gonna try to put it in there. All these signs aren't really up there, but he's explaining to you these signs are up here so that you guys can see who's in control, right? Who the Rothschild organizations actually, or who's actually running these organizations, you know what I'm saying? Via the Rothschild, what they have allegiance to, what they're connected to directly, right? There's other organizations obviously that span from this, or people that have companies like Berkshire Hathaway, like the Tesla group, all that type of stuff that work with these people, but they're not actually a part of it. These are the companies that are directly spanning from them. So you got Monsanto, AT&T, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America. And if you know anything about the Bank of America group, or if you don't, rather, that's something y'all should look into. JP Morgan Chase, I can't see what that is. Exxon Mobil Group, MSNBC, Fox, Raytheon, BP, Comcast, Chevron, NIA, Koch Industries, AIG, Pfizer, you know what I'm saying? ActBlue. So there's like a whole bunch of different companies that they have control of that basically have a whole lot of power on the planet, right? And when you get down to the banks like JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase is basically the most powerful bank on the planet right now. We know that America has control of all of the treasury notes from all the different countries that they've made war with. We know that all the wars were funded by the Rothschilds. You'll basically get a breakdown of that in about 2 minutes from Mr. Fagan. But the reason they were able to fund the wars is because through JP Morgan Chase, they have been able to take control of the Federal Reserve, which is a private company that America has allowed the people of America to think is a federal company that controls the money of America. It's not a federal company. It's not connected to the federal government in any type of way. It's a company just for, the Rothschilds, and it gives them permission to control all of the money in America, which in turn gives them permission to control all the money in Europe as well, because America has control of all the money in Europe due to wars that we fought and won with them since the 1700s, right? And that's significant because even the date of the Independence Day of America has something to do with something that was funded by the Rothschilds. So the whole American idea is basically a Rothschild-funded organization and, plan for world dominance, right? It's all a Jewish conspiracy, if you will. So, this is the house. Thank you, Yakum Ya. So this is the house, right? Though the Rothschilds aren't actually in power or, in any form of government as far as a seat, they run everything in there, right? So, all right. Now that we understand that, it should be very easy for you guys to understand what's about to be said next.
communications media, especially television, the radio, the press, and Hollywood. We all know that our State Department, the Pentagon, and the White House have brazenly proclaimed that they have the right and the power to manage the news, to tell us not the truth, but what they want us to believe.
So as I was telling you, the shadow government based on the hierarchy of the money, right? You've got the Windsors or the Griffins, which would be the king or queen, brother, right? The Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and the Vatican, right? So they're the ones at the top of the list. They're the ones that started the group, right? You've got the granddaughter, 42nd relative of Muhammad. So when the Ottoman Turks were taking over things in the Middle East, it was through the Windsors or the Griffins, right? We went over that in the Boule video. That's the Queen's aspect of it. Then you've got the banking sector, right? Rockefeller, Rothschild, okay? The Jewish man. You've got the Democratic Jewish man, the one that funds the Democrats, the Rockefellers. Then you've got the one that funds the Republicans, the Rothschild, right? But both are one flip of the same coin, just two different sides, right? Then you've got the Vatican, supposed to be the head of Christianity, right? So you've got the head of the Muslim world, though she's the Queen of England. You've got the head of the Christian world. He's the king of the, papacy, the Pope himself, and the bankers, right? Then you've got the people that follow on under them. The Buffetts, the Soros, Kissingers, Gates. Most of these people also are Jewish. All of them. I'm going to just be honest with you. And what they've done, the ones that you don't know, like Buffett, Soros, Gates, they've changed their last names, and they're actually descendants of the people that, come from the Bilderberg Group and the Council of Foreign Affairs, which is why they have the power that they have in America, right? Bill Gates, if you know anything about him, his family was the one that helped Margaret Sanger and them with the eugenics project. That's how they got to do all the experiments they did on the Black people and Hispanic people to find out what our powers and characteristics were that they could, take control of and stuff like that. It was Gates' family that had control of that. Buffett comes from the banking sector. Same thing with Soros, Kissinger, Bloomberg, right? And Zuckerberg and Bezos, they just got lucky, but they were Jewish, so they were able to move up the pipeline. So then you've got the other things, one world government, their agenda, right? And the formula, the things that they show us on TV and everything. So, all right.
They have seized that power on orders from their masters of the Great Conspiracy. And the objective is to brainwash the people into accepting the phony peace bait to transform the United States into an enslaved unit of the United Nations one world government.
Right. And what Jeremiah said in Proverbs, right? They healed the hurt of the daughter of my people. Jeremiah says saying peace, peace, but there is no peace, right? So he explained the Face Peace narrative, the Face Peace initiative. He's going to refer to Martin Luther King as Martin Lucifer King, right? Because Martin was a direct hand to the Rothschild, working by way of the Rockefeller because he was a Democrat, right? So he was actually working on both sides for the Jewish man, which is why he got the Nobel Peace Prize, because he was the main actor of the fake peace initiative, and they used a nigga to do it, right? And yeah, we've gotten into the MLK breakdown before with the Boule thing, but this video will make it a little bit more clear on why he was so important and why he gets all the shine as opposed to somebody like Malcolm X or something like that, right? Malcolm's movement was still something that they took control of eventually, right? Which is why it's become what it's now become. But aside from that, it's a situation where, and it's gonna keep sprouting, by the way, the Nation of Islam, because that's part of their plan. They'd rather a bunch of us become Muslim than Israelites, obviously, and for obvious reasons, right? So it's no coincidence that you see people like Devin Haney and Tank Davis and all these other people becoming Muslim now, right? Mike Tyson before that. It's going to keep going. Big names in sports, big names in the community, Kyrie Irving. They are going to keep doing this little transition to Islam. And a lot of them are going to bounce out of it too. You're going to see that. But the trend is going to be for them to bounce in it and make that part of it public so that a lot of our people follow the same trend.
First of all, bear in mind that the so-called UN police action in Korea, fought by the United States, in which 150,000 of our sons were murdered and maimed, was part of the plot just as the undeclared by Congress war in Vietnam, in which our sons are dying, is part of the plot, just as the plot against Rhodesia and South Africa, in which our sons will be dying, is part of the UN plot. However, the vitally important thing for all Americans, all you mothers of the boys who died in Korea and are now dying in Vietnam, to know is that our so-called leaders in Washington, whom we elected to safeguard our nation and our Constitution, are the betrayers, and that behind them are a comparatively small group of men whose sole objective is to enslave the whole world of humanity in their satanic plot of one world government. Now, in order to give you a very clear picture of this satanic plot, I will go back to its beginning, clear back in the middle of the 18th century, and name the men who put that plot into action, and then bring you down to the present, today's status of that plot. Now, as a matter of further intelligence, a term used by the FBI, let me clarify the meaning of the expression, "he is a liberal." The enemy, meaning the one world conspirators, have seized upon that word liberal as a cover-up for their activities. It sounds so innocent and so humanitarian to be liberal. Well,
And it's important that he's bringing this part out because when you guys was in the world, majority of you anyway, what would you have considered yourself in the context of political action, right? In the frame of politics, most of us were liberals when we were in the world, right? That's the way they want the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man to move. Adam Weishaupt, yeah. Right. That's Adam. We're going to get into him in a second. But this is Nathan. He's the guy that funded it, that he's talking about now. He's going to talk about Adam in a second. But this is Nathan, father of the Rots.
Make sure that the person who calls himself a liberal or is described as a liberal is not in truth a red. Now then, this satanic plot was launched back in the 1760s when it first came into existence under the name of the Illuminati. This Illuminati was organized by one Adam Weishaupt.
See? We're going to get into it.
Born a Jew who was converted to Catholicism.
And now you see why the Pope is important, right? Because a lot of these Jewish people that you don't know are actually Jewish. They, flaunt themselves as hard-born Catholics now, like a Joe Biden, right? He's supposed to be this big-time Catholic, right? Irish boy. If you go back and trace his history, he's really related to the people in power, which is why he's in power, right? Same thing with the Pope and a lot of the people that span with him, right? A lot of them have ties to the community that you wouldn't think they have ties to simply because they've changed their name to hide the ties that they actually share.
And became a Catholic priest. And then, at the behest of the then newly organized House of Rothschild, defected and organized the Illuminati. Naturally, the Rothschilds financed that operation. And every war since then.
So, right, we've got them funding the Illuminati, which is the enlightened ones, right? The ones that hold the light. And it's a play on words. They're going to tell you it has something to do with Lucifer. It doesn't really have anything to do with that. It's the one that holds the light. What's the light according to the Bible? Proverbs 6:23. Wait on one of y'all to put it in the chat. What's the light according to the Bible? Well, you about to find out tonight.
He just gave it to y'all.
The law. That's right. Hey, Shalom, how about you?
Shalom, another one. Yabashim Yashai Barakatah.
So the law, right? So these people are the ones, the Rothschilds, being in control of the House, being in control of the Senate, being in control of anything that runs America. They would run the law in America, right? They hold the law. In America, being the most powerful country in the world, If they hold the law in America, they hold the law for the planet, right? They lay down the law. So they're establishing the law. They hold the light, which is why they gave it the name the Illuminati, because the whole plan was to take over the world, like Fagin just told you, right? And it worked. It started with the funding of Napoleon. The reason they teach you about Napoleon in school wasn't because he was supposed to be this big time figure. He's their first funded war, and it worked successfully. And everything that they did based on what they learned from the funding of this situation is how they were able to do the Civil War, World War I, the Reconstruction, you know, all of that different type of stuff that they did. It was all funded by them, right? Both sides. Rockefellers, Rothschild, both the same coin.
And beginning with the French Revolution, has been promoted by the Illuminati, operating under various names and guises. I say under various names and guises.
Yeah, like Macron, he's French, he's really Jewish. In his name, it really Macron, right?
Because after the Illuminati was exposed and became too notorious, Weishaupt and his co-conspirators began to operate under various other names. In the United States, immediately after World War I, they set up what they called the Council on Foreign Relations, commonly referred to as the CFR. And this CFR is actually the Illuminati in the United States. And its hierarchy, the masterminds in control of the CFR, to a very great extent, are the descendants of the original Illuminati conspirators. But to conceal that fact, most of them changed their original family names to American-sounding names. For example, the true name of the Dillon,
like Buffett, like Biden, like Dylan, you know, Coke. Feel me?
Clarence and Douglas Dillon, one Secretary of the U.S. Treasury Department, is Lepowski. I'll come back to all this later. There is a similar establishment of the Illuminati in England, operating under the name of the British Institute of International Affairs. There are similar secret Illuminati organizations in France, Germany, and other nations operating under different names. And all these organizations, including the CFR, continuously set up numerous subsidiary or front organizations that are infiltrated into every phase of the various nations' affairs. But at all times, the operations of these organizations were and are masterminded and controlled by the internationalist bankers, who in turn were and are controlled by the Rothschilds.
Now, something else I want to put out there, because it's going to come up in a minute, but it'll make sense when it comes up if I say it now. So something that you see by people that do research on the Illuminati and stuff like that, right, that might be trying to come into the truth or might come into it, they always turn into bug outs because they end up, they end up finding out that, you know, people like F.S. Cherry were Masons and stuff like that, right? And then they start to think that even this is a conspiracy. But I'm going to explain to you why that's like that, for one. So FS was a Mason and an Israelite, right? The fringes that Masons wear, well, I'm not going to say they wear an apron, depending on your degree, right? The degree might look something like, I don't know if you've seen, when I was at SOT, I had the little apron with the fringes on the bottom of it. You might see brothers with Sakari, you know, soldiers of Yahweh, you know, they wear the apron, right? It could have like the V cut, or it could be a straight box looking joint, but it's got the fringes at the bottom and the border of blue, right? That's obviously a biblical commandment. For those of you that don't know, in order to be a Mason, you have to believe in a God, right? Of one of the Abrahamic religions. You've got to have a faith, a higher power that you believe in. The reason they make it like that is because it's it's easy if you believe in one of the Abrahamic faiths to explain why you need to wear fringes, because they could just point you to the Bible. And they know that if you're a Muslim, you're supposed to believe in the Bible anyway. If you're a Christian, you're supposed to believe in the Bible. And if you're a Catholic, you're supposed to believe in the Bible. So all three of them are covered, right? The same way we as Israelites teach that they have to wear the fringe, that we got to wear the fringes throughout our generations. They don't teach it throughout the generations as Masons, but it's something they wear in certain ceremonies, as far as the apron, right? The hand gesture you saw with them putting their hand in the shirt, certain hand signals they do, and stuff like that, right? It's to signal certain things as far as pictures that they'd like to take to basically document certain things, right? So, for example, the picture with Macron, right? The signal he was doing was the horn signal, right? He was in the middle of two niggas, right? To explain the deception, right? The devil, right? It's to document certain things. And when you see people in certain pictures or something like that, or when you see certain things in pictures or from pictures, it might lead you to think that they are part of the organization and that they know the plot. It's not always like that, right? Because with the standpoint of Israelites, well, to be perfectly frank, none of us would be involved in the plot anyway, because we're not related to the right people, right? Second, there was a change, which he's kind of going to get into in a little bit with the Masonry, right? So when F.S. Cherry was a Mason, he was able to join the Scottish Rite, which is a part of the sect of Masonry Black people can't join anymore, right? Now we're only allowed to be Prince Hall, but back then he was able to join the Scottish Rite. My great-grandfather was a part of the Scottish Rite. Learned a lot of stuff there. The only reason my great-grandfather was there is because he passed and slid up in there. And then later on got kicked out of Texas because they found out about it. So, like, but it's information, right, that you would get from that type of organization. And FS was able to get that information, right? With that, he was able to learn Yiddish and Hebrew and, found out his true identity, right? Which is why he's one of the reasons, which is what I was trying to point to you guys last week, as to why they changed the way Blue Lodge Masonry was going to be run, and they made it racist, right? They made it so Black people couldn't get in there because, well, a couple of our guys that did make it in there ended up learning too damn much, found out who we actually were, and now we have this Black Hebrew Israelite movement. So what they've done now is they've given the information that was passed down through Masonry to the Blue Lodges, which are now strictly for the white men, right? And it's for them because these are now the lodges that the Rothschilds have infiltrated, which he's going to talk about in a moment, right? So I said all that just to break it down to you. The reason we're not allowed in the Blue Lodges anymore is because they've now infiltrated these lodges. It's something that started with the British Empire of Foreign Affairs and then the Council of Foreign Relations here in America, right? Once the Blue Lodges came over here. That's basically the information that they get taught once they reach a certain sect, 33rd degree-ish type stuff, 32nd, 33rd degree. In the Blue Lodges, they start to find out who we are, what the truth of everything is, right? All that type of information. And that's what F.S. Cherry and William Crowdy had in the past, right? That's what Marcus Garvey had, because Marcus Garvey, for those of you that don't know, when he met Mr. Gunt, or Grit, rather, the guy that funded his movement, right, and basically helped introduce him to all them Israelites in Harlem, Garvey was forced to become a Mason, right? So back in the day, it wasn't a bad thing. It was something that was known to give Black people information about themselves. Once they found out, they being the Jewish man, found out we were getting the information and actually using it, that's when they stopped us from going to the Blue Lodges and made it a different sect, which is the Prince Hall Masonry that they seclude us to now, right? And due to us being secluded, the rumors come out now that, being Mason was a bad thing and all that type of stuff. It's mainly to deter people from going to get that type of information. And also, once you, as a Black person now, once you get into it, you're not going to get the information anyway these days because of the lodge they have you secluded to, the Prince Hall Lodge, right? So, yeah, just wanted to put that out there. Hope that was understood. Now we're going to get back into the video so that you understand it. But there are going to be parts where the guy who made this video, he's going to post pictures of Israelites because he sees y'all with the, the seal on, and he doesn't really fully understand the movement and how it started with us. He just sees that F.S. Cherry was a Mason, didn't understand the, importance of it and the fact that everybody, he's a Marcus Garvey fan, but He didn't realize Marcus Garvey was a Mason too, right? Noble Drew Ali, Mason. You know what I'm saying? MLK, Mason. The reason they were all Masons is because there was certain information we would get at that time period that they don't give us now for being Masons. Now it's just a, fraternity boys club or something like that.
The details of how they accomplished the setting up of the CFR in the United States, as also in the other nations, are far too voluminous to be described in this dissertation. But you can find it complete in News Bulletin number 122, entitled UN is Spawn of the Illuminati, and News Bulletin number 123, entitled CFR Completely Unmasked as Illuminati.
See, they used to put stuff in the news articles. You used to be able to go buy a news bulletin, pay 50 cents for it, send a letter to the P.O. box, and they send you the whole bulletin back with the facts in it on paper, right? They don't do that anymore because there's the information age. If they did that now, too many people would know what the truth is, right? So you're left to, well, just hear about it. But as you see, he's telling you to just go in the book that he wrote. He's telling you to go type this stuff up and send it to a P.O. box. You pay 50 cents and you're supposed to get this letter back. I tried it. It don't work no more. Obviously, this was like 1930s or something. But point I'm trying to make is information was prevalent back then as it was too. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't on the internet for everybody to be able to type it up and get it real quick. But if you had access to it, you were able to get it. Now, information and certain things is a lot harder to come by because they know that people are actually looking for it now.
Both are published by the Cinema Educational Guild, Post Office Box 46205, Hollywood, California. You can get them for 50 cents per copy by writing to that address. Those news bulletins reveal the names of the original founders of the Illuminati.
Yeah, Danielle, Washington was a Mason. All of the presidents have to become Masons because, like I said, there's certain information that they get from the Blue Lodges. All the presidents are Blue Lodge Masons, right? We used to be able to be Blue Lodge Masons and Scottish Rite Masons, right? Now we're not allowed to. We only can join the Prince Hall Masonry. In order to be a black man and to be a Scottish Rite Mason, you got to be like 60 plus right now because that's probably the last generation of brothers that got to join that type of organization. Now you wouldn't get to do that, which is why there's a negative stigma to Masonry because they did that on purpose. Just like they put a negative stigma to the name Illuminati. They did it like that to make people not really know anything about it and to give it this mystique so that you wouldn't know what it's about and what it's for, right? But, it's highly coincidental that all of our leaders were Masons and they all had similar information. It's not because that's what the white man intended. It's literally because that's where you used to go to get the information, Masonry, right? Which is why they've now given us our own, building for it, which has no information, right? That's why I keep explaining that to y'all. So,
and the Americanized names of their descendants in the present CFR. Now I go back to the activities of the original Illuminati conspirators. As revealed in News Bulletin number 122, one branch of the Rothschild family had financed Napoleon. Another branch of the Rothschilds, both branches the real masterminds of the Illuminati, financed Britain, Germany, and the other nations in the Napoleonic Wars. Immediately after the Napoleonic Wars, the Illuminati assumed that all the nations were so destitute and so weary of wars that they'd be glad for any solution. So the Rothschild stooges set up what they called the Congress in Vienna. And at that meeting, they tried to create the first League of Nations. Their first...
And they still have this meeting. They have it every January. They just had it this year too. Certain brothers know about that.
Attempted one world government on the theory that all the crowned heads of the European governments were so deeply in debt to them that they would willingly or unwillingly serve as their stooges. But the Tsar of Russia caught the stench of the plot and completely torpedoed it. The enraged Nathan Rothschild, then the head of that dynasty, vowed that someday he or his descendants would destroy the Tsar and his entire family. And his descendants did accomplish that very threat, organized the Illuminati, to put the plan into execution. That plan required the destruction of all existing governments and religions. That objective was to be reached by dividing the masses of people whom he, Weishaupt, termed Goyim, or human cattle.
Okay, so now you also see why choice is that, right? When we use the word goyim or heathen, right, it wasn't really so much from the standpoint of human cattle, even though we knew that that's what they were for. We know, based on the Bible, that the Jews, the Israelites, right, the whole earth was made for their sakes, and everything in it, and all the people in it were made for their sakes, right? So, to an extent, they are supposed to be human cattle, for lack of better words, right? They're supposed to be the people that do everything for us, right? Well, since we're not in our power seat and we fell off due to our lack of following the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave us, he's made us, which was the head, now the tail, right? That's Deuteronomy 28, 43 and 44. And the people that he's talking about that will lend to us and we won't lend to them, he's talking about the Jewish man, the one that took over the banks, the one that stole our identity, right? They've now become the head and they were the tail, right? This literally what they're talking about here. And the people that took that position from us and, you know, stole it, they've put themselves in a position to where now they control everything, right? So they've made a plan to start certain wars and put us in a place where, after their whole idea anyway, is after a certain amount of wars, which World War III in their mind would be the last one, they're not counting on Yahushua coming back because they think they're going to be able to keep us asleep long enough for that to happen. We know that biblically that's not the plan, and it's not going to work out that way because everything's still going based off of, you know, the prophecy, even their plan. And what you got to realize is their stuff is going to look like it's coinciding with the Bible. Somebody with a lack of intelligence spiritually is going to think that, oh, it's matching up too much with what they have going on. So they must have made the Bible and made us think that this is what's real and that we have to follow this. But nah, what it is the Most High has a plan, right? He showeth and revealeth his things to his servants, the prophets, right? Well, the people that know the oracles of God basically know all things, right? And oracles are lining up and showing us how things are going to play out, which is why if you know the Bible, you'll basically be able to tell the times and read the minds of the, you know, people in control, because they're following the prophecy without fully knowing they're following it. The devil knows the Bible, but he doesn't know the whole thing, right? So, which is why they got to put us on hate watch lists and try to block channels and all that type of stuff that they do, because they know that we're putting the pieces together, and they never actually intended on us to be able to do that, right? So, regardless of the fact of how close it seems like, you know, things are matching up with the Bible, that's actually a good thing, because it shows that the Most High ain't lying about nothing, right? And that things are actually going to turn out exactly the way he says. So their plan is that come World War III, we'll be in a situation where we'll be so depleted as a people, and we won't actually seal the elect in the 1/3, that they'll be able to just teach us whatever they want to teach us afterwards, because the world will be destroyed, right? And if they could just create this new civilization under what they call Luciferianism, which would be their version of the light. So instead of us going off of the laws of the Bible that everybody's had to go off of for, well, since Moses, and they've been basically taking and stealing little bits and pieces from our law to use for their own civilizations while having us in captivity in those civilizations, they think that they're not going to do that no more, right? And that they'll just be able to give us something completely different, according to what they always wanted in the jump or from the jump, right? We know it's not going to go like that, but that's their plan. So that's kind of what he's going to explain now.
To opposing camps in ever increasing numbers on political.
The reason they have us in here is because, again, the guy that made this video, well, as far as the clips and the pictures, he took the Fagin recording from his book and basically posted a bunch of pictures. He added us to the list due to our wearing of the fringes, right? And he thinks that we're a Jewish organization because of us thinking we're Israelites. He didn't really do his history on it to find out what was what, right? And well, just the simple wearing of the fringes, him not knowing it's a biblical commandment for the actual Israelites, he thinks that us wearing the fringes ties us to masonry, not knowing that the apron they wear is something they got to give them power or to signify them being in the power seat, because even the master masons are supposed to be people that have taken the identity of the Jewish man or the Jews, right? The Israelites. Everybody's position in power is based off of the position that God gave us. That's what y'all have to understand, right? It's all based off our position. So each standpoint of their, or each sect of their organizations and stuff like that, right? They all have a little piece, a little sprinkle of something Israelite involved in their organizations, right? Whether it's the stances that they do, the chants that they might do, right? The reading of the Bible or the Torah before they start a council meeting or something like that. The wearing of the fringes and the apron, right? Instead of wearing a diadem to put them in the judge's seat, they just decided to put on our fringes, right? That's what the master mason wears. He puts the apron on and the gloves to show he's the judge. He's the one in control. That's the way that they made their whole thing, right? So they put sprinkles of Israelite culture in it to signify them being the ones in charge, because they know that, well, biblically, historically, spiritually, we're the ones that's supposed to be in control of the earth. And they've taken that position from us, right? So just wanted to explain why you put us in the video. It's a lack of understanding, really. But when you know what we know, I'm not mad at him for putting us in the video. One, is giving us a little bit of exposure, but two, it allows us to be able to explain why they've been able to steal stuff like that and what the similarities are, right? So the reason they wear the fringes is because they stole it, because it's something that they know the people in the power seat are supposed to wear and represent. So the Masons now use that in their ceremonies.
Social, economic, and other issues, the very conditions we have in our country today. The opposing sides were then to be armed and incidents provided, which would cause them to fight and weaken themselves and gradually destroy national governments and religious institutions. Again, I say.
Yeah, as you see, due to the Rosenwald Fund, right, they have full control of the music industry and everything that's put out there. So the influx of homosexuality, the rise in homosexual behavior, the rise in homosexual mood, music and the stuff you see on television, right? It's all because of a plan that they had. It's no secret that Israel has the biggest gay parade, right? That's also something they've orchestrated, because they're really Luciferian Satanists, right? They don't care about the Bible or anything righteous. That's not what they're about. They're about doing things their way or the highway, and their way isn't the way of us. It's the complete opposite on purpose. That's what they want it to be. So if we're right and we're about, man with woman, they're going to be opposite, and they're going to be about man with man and woman with woman, right? That's what they're going to push. That's what's on TV. And it's particularly going to be in our communities that they push it, right? Because we're the ones that they want to use to, basically control everything. Because they know that even though we're in the seat of a servant, we're still the salt of the earth. So if they could get us to push something, it'll be easily attractive to the other people on the planet, which will make them want to follow it too, right? That's how it works. They know our position. They know who we are. They know the strength we hold and the power we hold. As long as they can keep us in control by them, then they have all the power, right? And that's what they realized early on, and they've continued to follow that plan to a T.
The very conditions in the world today. And at this point, let me stress a prime feature of the Illuminati plans. When and if their blueprint for world control, the protocols of the elders of Zion, is discovered and exposed.
That's that book again, and it has been discovered and exposed because I just showed it to you niggas last week, right? So what's going to happen?
They would wipe all the Jews off the face of the earth in order to divert suspicions from themselves.
So this eventually is going to be their plan, right? And what's going on right now in Israel? So they have a war, right? Netanyahu just bombed Iran last night. They're trying to push for World War III, right? Before we get all of our ducks in a row. We know it's not going to happen. Most are not going to let it go down like that. But it's coming. very soon. And when it comes, right, their plan, the way that it's worked out in their heads, Yahweh Shai never shows up. We stay in control to them. They have their little World War III or their big World War III. Somehow they survive it. You know what I'm saying? They got their bunkers and whatnot and all that type of stuff. They little space stations and all that. They come back to the earth or whatever, come from underground, and then destroy all the Jewish people that they used to help take over the world, that they built this anti-Semitism over, you know what I'm saying, to give them a shield behind anything that was trying to take them down on the planet, right? They said that the people they used for that, them German folks and stuff, Polish, Russian people, them Edomites from the Caucasus, they said they're gonna knock them out, take them down, right? So either way, if you want to get technical, that book of Obadiah, when we talk about Esau being stubble, we know we the ones that's gonna do it. But ain't it funny? Esau think he gonna make Amalek stubble too. Crazy, right?
If you think this is far-fetched, bear in mind that they permitted Hitler, a liberal socialist himself, who was financed by Krupp, Kennedy, the Warburgs, and the Rothschilds, to incinerate 600,000 Jews.
Notice he didn't say 6 million. Just want to put that out there, you damn liars.
Now, just
And later he's gonna say supposed 600,000 because he know it wasn't that much either. Just saying.
why did the conspirators choose the word Illuminati for their satanic organization?
Yeah, we already explained that. So let's fast forward a little bit.
These included the most intelligent men in the fields of arts and letters, education, the sciences, finance, and industry. He then established lodges of the Grand Orient, Masonic lodges, to be their secret headquarters.
This would later become the Blue Lodges, right? Because all the Orient Lodges got shut down. So Orient Lodges become the Blue Lodges, which is why the black people are no longer allowed in them. And the Blue Lodge becomes the secret headquarters for certain, you know, big time organizations, which is why if you come to Grayson, where I live, every now and then on the first Monday of the month, you see 7-foot big black Shaq walk into the Blue Lodge out here because he's a member and he's a Mason and he's a gatekeeper, a part of the Boule, right? So he has to show up to the meetings that they have when they have them. And they have some of them in Atlanta, which he attends. We've seen it.
And I again repeat that in all of this, he was acting under orders from the House of Rothschild. The main features of the Weishaupt.
The Diddler, right? Also a member. And he's trying to work out his Teflon Don status. Don't be surprised if nothing happens to Diddy because, well, he's their main gatekeeper in the music industry, right? So
Plan of operation required his Illuminati to do the following things to help them to accomplish their purpose. Number one, use monetary and sex bribery to obtain control of men already.
Ain't it crazy how they used Diddy for the sex bribery joint and he got what's going on now? Just coincidence? Or you think it's always been known that he was going to be in this position, right? Maybe they're not trying to take him down, but this is a warning to let them know that they're still in control, that to let him know that they still got all the power. Don't try nothing stupid. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Might have been what happened with TD the Snake too, right? When the rumors of Thomas Dexter coming out, when he was wearing the big purple suit, talking about, you know, drinking water. Catch my drift?
Already in high places in the various levels of all governments and other fields of endeavor. Once influential persons had fallen for the lies, deceits, and temptations of the Illuminati, they were to be held in bondage by application of political and other forms of blackmail, threats of financial ruin.
So what happened with Jamie, right? When he tried to put the thing out on what's his name? On Diddler. He ended up in the hospital. Some people say he dead and they done cloned him, whatever it is, right? But we see what happens. We see what happened with Bill Cosby when he tried to take over some things and go against the protocol, right? When Prince tried to do it, he found dead in his elevator. When Michael tried to do it, they had his doctor kill him in his sleep, right? It's all these different things that happen when the celebrities try to come up. When Diddy's first wife tried to pull the plug on his operation, she ends up poisoned, right? Like it's stuff that happens. Floyd Mayweather's wife tried to put the thing out on her, and she ends up dead miraculously. Same thing with the uncle, right? So it's all these things that happen when people try to put the facts out about certain things, and they end up dead. It's orchestrated like that for a reason.
Public exposure and physical harm, even death, to themselves and loved members of their families. Do you realize how many present top officials in our federal government in Washington are controlled in just that way by the CFR? Do you realize how many homosexuals in our State Department, the Pentagon, all federal agencies, even in the White House, are controlled that way? Number two, Illuminati on the faculties of colleges and universities were to cultivate students possessing exceptional mental ability, belonging to well-bred families with international leanings, and recommend them for special training in internationalism. Such training was to be provided by.
So in every school, especially the black ones and the ones in urban cities, your Georgia States, your Clark Atlantas, your Spelmans, your Morehouses, right? Howards, they all got a counselor at the school that's a part of the boule, right? An advisor, if you will. And for each grade level, or for each, however they do it at the school, at that organization. And they scout all the highly started kids, all the ones that got good grades that seem to be exceptional mental students, have high IQs and exceptional mental capabilities. They try to make them kids Rhodes Scholars. They try to send you overseas and give you this special education at a certain school. I got the offer. A guy named Eric Smith gave it to me, one of my football coaches, right? So they try to look for people that they think would be good to toss up in that thing, that would be good political advocates or whatever it is, right? And they try to make you a Rhodes Scholar. A lot of your black politicians in the black caucuses and stuff like that, the Cory Bookers and stuff like that of the world, they became who they are through Rhodes Scholarships, right? So just something to put that out there too. A lot of the people might know they're Israelites and might know the truth, but they'll never be able to do anything about it because of the Rhodes Scholarship that they were given and the things they had to sign and that they have to forever go with because of the education they were given and the things they were given by way of that education, right?
By granting scholarships to those selected by the Illuminists. That gives you an idea what a Rhodes Scholarship.
And you see, a lot of it is Atlanta, which is why this is not a black mecca of the world. This is where they're trying to give a lot of them Rhodes Scholarships to people at, right? You got the Rockefeller Philanthropies and Families. Spelman College is a Rockefeller philanthropic university, right? So it's actually there to give them women out there, an opportunity through a Rhodes Scholarship to indoctrinate our sisters into, not really rocking with us the way that they should, right? That's something that they do at Spelman University. Is by way of the Rockefellers.
It means indoctrination into accepting the idea that only a one world government can put an end to recurring wars and strife. That's how the United Nations was sold to the American people. One of the most notable Rhodes Scholars we have in our country is Senator William J. Fulbright, sometimes referred to as the only solution to our many and varied problems. Now, do you know who owns and controls our mass communications media? I'll tell you, practically all the movie lots in Hollywood is owned by the Lehmans, Kuhn Loeb and Company, Goldman Sachs, and other international.
So Lehman's, Cool Loeb and Company, which is Lionsgate, Goldman Sachs, right? That's all Jewish, and Jewish, right? They're the ones running everything.
Bankers. All the national radio and TV channels in the nation are owned and controlled by those same internationalist bankers. The same is true of every chain of metropolitan newspapers and magazines, also of the press wire services, such as Associated Press, United Press International, etc. The supposed heads of all those media are merely the fronts for the internationalist bankers, who in turn compose the hierarchy of the CFR, today's Illuminati in America. Now, can you understand why the Pentagon's press agent Sylvester so brazenly proclaimed that the government has the right to lie to the people? What he really meant was that our CFR-controlled government had the power to lie to and be believed by the brainwashed American people. And let's again go back to the first days of the Illuminati. Because Britain and France were the two greatest world powers in the late years of the 18th century, Weishaupt ordered the Illuminati to foment the colonial wars, including our Revolutionary War, to weaken the British Empire and organize the French Revolution to destroy the French Empire. He scheduled the French Revolution to start in 1789. However, in 1784, a true act of God placed the Bavarian government in possession of evidence.
Yeah, so he's gonna ramble a little bit, but he's explaining to you that they literally funded all the wars that we learn about in school, right? That they teach you about, from the Boston Tea Party to the Reconstruction to the Civil War, right? To everything. World War I, World War II, now World War III, Vietnam. All of that was Japan. You know what I'm saying? All of those wars, rather, were all orchestrated, funded, and scheduled by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, right? And it was done like that to give them certain power at certain times. So, like he just said, they started with the thing with Britain, right? They had a Boston Tea Party. They have their little separation. They have their little Revolutionary War and everything like that. And, you know, then when it's time, when they separate from them, they have the Civil War to make sure that they all get on one accord in America, right? See what side's going to win. Once that side wins, then they have World War I, right? To basically get rid of their enemies on the other side. So Russia, the reason Putin gets in control and Russia becomes a nation like America, where they're wearing suits and shaved faces and stuff like that, is because, well, though he acts like he's an enemy to America right now, he's a political arm, right? Until it's time for his, you know, position to change. So, but yeah, like the Communism Act that Russia and China do, all of that is orchestrated by these people, right? Our stance against communism and you know, our love for freedom and all that type of stuff, it was orchestrated for America to be like that, for Russia and China to be how they are, for Africa to be how it is, for Asia to be how it is. All of that stuff is stuff that they orchestrate and schedule.
Killed by lightning as he rode through Rallis. Bavarian authority of Illuminati and closed the lodges of the Grand Orient. In 1786, they published all the details of the conspiracy. The English title of that publication is The Original Writings of the Order and Sect of the Illuminati.
So 10 years after founding America, they come out with a book to let everybody know how they did it, right? Now, obviously, this book is going to be very hard to find, but there was a book that existed, still exists, just hard to find. You might get a PDF somewhere that you can find somewhere, something like that. But this book basically explains what their whole plan was. It's like another version of the Book of the Elders of Zion.
Copies of the entire conspiracy were sent to all the heads of church and state in Europe. But the power of the Illuminati, which was actually the power of the Rothschilds, was so great that this warning was ignored. Nevertheless, Illuminati became a dirty word, and it went underground. At the same time, Weishaupt ordered Illuminists to infiltrate into the lodges of Blue Masonry and form their own secret societies within all secret societies.
You see? So the guy that made the video is trying to imply that Israelites are a secret society formed by Masons, which he got that information from FS Cherry being a Mason, not knowing that the information FS Cherry got isn't the it's not the watered down information that they're giving in the Blue Lodges now, right? FS was not a Blue Lodge Mason. He was Scottish Rite. He was a step above, right? Niggas don't get into Scottish Rite no more. So the last generation of niggas I know was around the same time as Marcus Garvey, who also was Scottish Rite. And Marcus Garvey and my great grandfather damn near the same age. They're a couple years apart, right? So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And FS and Wilson Crowdy, they are older than Marcus Garvey and them. So they, you know, they fall within that realm of the age where they were able to basically get that information and get the real gist of the information, right? So just because, I'm going to put this out there again, just because the people who started our organization or our, I'm not going to say all of them, but the main ones, right? Wentworth, Matthew, FS Cherry, Crowdy were Masons. It's not a bad thing, because all of the leaders that had any information that did anything to help the people were Masons. And the reason why they did the things they did typically was because of the information they got about themselves from Masonry, right? There was information that wasn't prevalent that you wouldn't be able to get now if you were to join the lodges. So yeah, I do agree. Joining lodges now doesn't make no sense. It's a waste of time, because the people that got the information now are the people in the lodges that you are not allowed to join. But the point I'm trying to make is we were allowed to join those lodges with the real information in the past, which is why those former slaves joined those organizations, because that's most likely where they learned to read. It's where they got all their high-level information and stuff like that they were able to pass down to us, right? It's because they were able to get access to the books that these Edomites, you know what I'm saying, these Jewish people had in these vaults and stuff like that they don't give us access to now. FS got to read those books. Wentworth got to read those books, right? Crowdy got to read those books. So Noble Drew Ali got to read those books. Marcus Garvey as a Mason got to read those books, right? So Ben Yakanan and his dad, who was also a part of Garvey's movement, got to read those books, right? Dr. Ben. So, you know, that's all stuff that we got to take into account. So don't just think that, you know, because of Mason, or we have brothers that were into Masonry before, that it was bad. It's not always like that. You know what I'm saying? So just wanted to put that out there.
Societies. Only Masons who proved themselves internationalists and those whose conduct...
That's something you got to understand, right? Masons who proved themselves internationalists. Because I know most of y'all don't know nothing about Masonry. You just heard a couple things on the internet, and, you know, because like Fagin said, it's a dirty word now. You think everything about it is dirty, and you didn't actually do real research to find out and constitute why so many brothers back in the day that were part of these big, powerful movements to empower the people all were freaking Masons. It's not a coincidence. It's because the information that Masons get, the real ones anyway, at the real organizations, they get real information, real truths about people to find out real stuff. That's why all the presidents have to become Masons, so that they know exactly what's going on. When Hitler became a Mason, he found out he wasn't a Jew. He found out who he was. And then when after they funded him and allowed him to do what he was doing, when he wanted to kind of flip the script a little bit, right, and make a full pure Germany, the Rothschilds didn't agree with that. They said, we only gave you permission to kill the Jewish people over here that we gave you permission to kill. You ain't supposed to kill everybody. And they let him go. You know what I'm saying? In the midst of that, he told us the truth. things he found out in Masonry, that their world plan, their, hell, let's read it. Right? This is something Hitler found out through Masonry in his position, right? Once he became a leader of Germany, funded by the Rothschild. When they sent him to his little learning class to understand what he was going to be having to learn as a ruler of Germany, right? These are the things he learned. And after he tried to, backstab him and do his own thing, not knowing they was going to leave him to die in Germany, right? He told us this. His soldier said, why will the Jews control America? The soldier asked, and this is from Nazi Germany, World War III. I got the book. Where's the book? It might be on my refrigerator, but I got the book. I showed it to y'all before. It's a good book. I suggest y'all get it. Get the one without the pictures, because the one with the pictures, it's been republished in early 2000s, and it's not the same book from the 40s no more, right? This part isn't in it. But the book without the pictures that Kyrie Irving showed you on the internet, it says this right here. It says, Hitler said, because the Jews know that the Negroes are the real children of Israel, and to keep America secret, the Jews will blackmail America. The Jews will extort America, and their plan for world domination won't work if the Negroes knew who they were, right? So once Negroes like F.S. Cherry, William Crowdy, Wentworth Matthew, right, Alba Bivens, who all were Masons, once they found out who they were, Marcus Garvey, all were Masons, and he had Israelite generals that worked with him, right? He's also in a brain tube video for Black Jewish relations, Marcus Garvey, right? These people were Negroes that found out who they were, right? And got a lot of that information through what they learned in Masonry, which is why they kicked all of us out of the Blue Lodges, forced us to Prince Hall Lodges, and then continued to teach themselves the information that all of us were able to learn back in the day about ourselves. So now they could keep that information tight-nipped. And when we say it, they can just make it seem like these niggas are crazy, right? And for people that do understand what we're saying and do realize it, they could put things like this on the internet, right? And, make conspiracies to make it seem like we're this evil Mason organization. And it's not even like that.
That proved they had defected from God were initiated into the Illuminati. Thenceforth, the conspirators donned the cloak of philanthropy and humanitarianism to conceal.
There he is, Martin Lucifer King. That's what he's going to call him. That's not my nickname for him. But he's the king of philanthropy because he helped him do what he did, which is why in his last speech he said he integrated his people into a burning house, because he realized what he did and how it was going to actually hurt us, right? I'm not going to say he knew the full plan while it was happening, because I don't think he did. But once he found out, he tried to stop it, and he took a bullet and a smothering pillow for it. So, he didn't know the whole time, but he definitely was used, and their plan worked through him. That's why we're here.
Their revolutionary and subversive activities. In order to infiltrate into Masonic lodges in Britain, Weishaupt invited John Robison over to Europe. Robison was a high-degree Mason in the Scottish Rite. He was a professor.
This motherfucker dirty, bro. I'm sorry. That's messed up. That he gonna throw stuff out there just because we have a Jewish symbol, right? They're trying to make it seem like that. Here's how much this don't make sense. Why would the Jewish man openly make a controversy on whether he's the people in Israel when he knows that's the whole reason he got his position and the power he's got, by pretending to be the people from Israel? The whole earth knows that they're the people that's supposed to be in charge, right, of everything, the people from Israel. These people have basically taken over due to them taking our position and our power seat, right? So I just think that's crazy that they keep throwing the Israelite jabs out there, but it is what it is. You know how them Afrocentric side-netted niggas be.
Professor of Natural Philosophy at Edinburgh University and secretary of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. Robison did not fall for the lie that the objective of the Illuminati was to create a benevolent dictatorship, but he kept his reactions to himself so well that he was entrusted with a copy of Weishaupt's revised conspiracy for study and safekeeping. Anyway, because the heads of state and church in France were deluded into ignoring the warnings given them, the revolution broke out in 1789 as scheduled by Weishaupt. In order to alert other governments to their danger, in 1798, Robeson published a book entitled Proof of a Conspiracy to Destroy All Governments and Religions.
All right. So that's what the plan was. One last part I want to play, and we get up out of here. I think y'all understand the gist, but let me see where this part is. Yeah, let's do that.
Are now stirring up between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Muslim world. That war is to be political Zionists operating under whatever new name, are now stirring up Illuminati, operating under whatever new name, are now stirring up between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Muslim world.
And that's what we see happening now, right? They're stirring up something between the political Zionists, which are the people that politically moved to Israel, which we talked about last night, right? Or last week rather, and the leaders of the Muslim world, right? So your Iraqs, your Iran, your Saudi Arabias, right? The militias that they keep killing and all that type of stuff. These are the leaders of the Muslims right now. And they're continuing to fight them to cause a war, War III, right? That's the whole goal, World War III. So, yeah, he's giving you the plan because it's written in the councils of the affairs of Zion, right? Or the leaders of Zion. That's what their plan is. It's the last thing on the plan through the one world system and all that type of stuff. So while they're trying to usher in this one world economy, right? This digital system, if you will, they're also going to be trying to usher in the World War III at the same time and hope that, within about, I guess, a 10-year time span, if I read correctly, they'd like to bring everything to a halt.
War is to be directed in such a manner that all of Islam and political Zionism.
But they also work from the standpoint of long range and long term. So if it don't happen in 10 years, they're not going to be tripping. They'll take it as long as they have to take it, and they'll continue to teach their relatives and descendants exactly what needs to be taught to them so that they can carry out the plan. That's how they continue to do it, right?
Israel will destroy each other, while at the same time, the remaining nations, once more divided on this issue, will be forced to fight themselves into a state of complete exhaustion, physically, mentally, spiritually, and economically. Now, can any thinking person doubt that the intrigue now going on in the near, middle, and far east is designed to accomplish that satanic objective? Pike himself foretold all this in a statement he made to Mazzini on August 15, 1871. Pike stated that after World War III is ended, those who will inspire to undisputed world domination will provoke the greatest social cataclysm the world has ever known. Quoting his own words, taken from the letter he wrote to Mazzini, and which letter is now catalogued in the British Museum in London, England, he said, "We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a great social cataclysm which in all its horror will show clearly to all nations the effect of absolute atheism, the origin of..."
And see, so that's their whole goal, just to give the effect of absolute atheism. So you ever wonder why Jewish people became Jewish but didn't really care about converting and actually upholding the law, statutes, and commandments? Why it's okay for a lot of them to be just Jewish and, as a nationality or like a political statement, but they don't actually have to be engrossed in the culture of a Jew, right? Or an Israelite. It's because they don't give a damn about that. The reason most of them are okay with being atheists and not caring about the Bible or anything like that is because they know that they're not the people. They know they don't have to care about the Bible or have any ties to it spiritually, right? Because at the end of the day, the whole reason for being a Jewish person and to make you think that they're the people of the land in the covenant, right, is so that one day they could turn this whole system based off of this Abrahamic faith that the world has right now, or that they think they have right now, right? They could destroy that because that's really of us. We're the people of Abrahamic faith, right? So they'll destroy that concept and give us absolute atheism. So, that's their goal. And so far, they ain't did too bad. But some other things you would have found out in this video if y'all watched the whole thing. They orchestrated the making of the NAACP along with the Anti-Defamation League. Basically go hand in hand. But once they realized after the killing of Leo Frank, right, how detrimental it could be for their society if we had power like that, they put white people in charge of the NAACP in order to, always kind of keep what type of help can come from that organization under wraps, right, and under their control. So that's what the NAACP is and why it's been ineffective its entirety of the time that it's been around for us. And the ADL has been completely effective for them, right? Because that's how they orchestrated it to be. So, I got one more thing I want to play before we get up out of here. From Dr. Ben Yakanan. Just to prove to you guys that there were brothers that, knew who they were. His mother is a Sephardic Jew. His father is a Sephardic Jew. His pops is from Ethiopia and his mom is from Puerto Rico. And they're both for the Ladino people, right? Which were the Sephards that were kicked out of Spain and Portugal, right? Harry Rosenberg and the Jewish people would make you think that they're white people, you know what I'm saying? That after they left Spain and Portugal, somehow went to France or Germany or Poland or Russia. But they, in fact, went other places. And it wasn't just North Africa, right? Like a lot of people say, it wasn't just the people that went to the Iberian Peninsula and all that type of stuff. They actually, a lot of them came to the Americas. As you'll hear from Dr. Ben Yakanan, right? He'll explain a little bit about his mom, who was a Puerto Rican, but also a Jew, a Ladino Jew. So he's a black Puerto Rican and a Jew, right? Not because of slavery or anything like that. So check this out.
Strange that just yesterday that the Jews in America found out that they're black Jews. Isn't it strange also that you don't consider us Jews because when we go to Israel, you're still demanding that we must, quote unquote, reconvert. Who said we converted in the first place?
And this was something important too, because what they do, right? What you got to understand is there's two types of Jews from Ethiopia, right? There's the one like Dr. Yosef Ben Yakanan, who would be a brother. And then there's what I call the Nipsey Hussle type, right? So Nipsey's got a mom who's a sister, but his father is a pure Cushite, right? And he looks like Kush. Dr. Ben's dad looked just like him. Like they look like twins. You know what I'm saying? And Dr. Ben looked like a Haitian brother or something. He looked like my grandma people on my mama's side. So that's what he looked like. And his mom, obviously Puerto Rican. She more light skinned and everything like that, but she's still Jew, right? So he's having a conversation here speaking about how back in the day, right? Even in his time, they were having discussions about black people being Jews. And he's somebody who's like, well, my people never converted. We've been Jews. We got kicked out of Spain and Portugal, and we were able to trace our history, and we stayed Jews the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So he's explaining stuff like that from his standpoint. And then at the same time, you got Falashas being moved over there to Israel, right? People that are already in their homeland being told to agree that you could go over here, right? To not really give validity to people like Dr. Ben Yakanan, right? Because his people would be the actual real people from that are in Ethiopia. I'm not even going to say from Ethiopia, but that's where they are now, right? The sect of our people that are there. And they're not the ones getting the opportunity to move back, right? It's the people that aren't connected to us that also live in Ethiopia. So just wanted to put that out there.
Who said, what right have European Jews who don't belong there either have a right to tell
Yeah, see, European Jews who don't belong there, right?
us and to carry us to a shameful.
I'm sorry, European Jews
No,
who
don't
have a
no, any more than we do. Because the Russian Jews come, there, many of them not circumcised, many of them never have a bar mitzvah, and we have to go, nobody asked them to reconvert. Next thing, Rabbi, how come my uncle, Amrat Emanuel, came here in 1935 to raise money when Italy invaded Ethiopia? We were 5 million. When we left, we were 50,000. The Jewish community in America refused, denied that we existed.
this historic person, you see, is an historian.
He was just explaining that there was a war, right? When Ethiopia was invaded, there was a bunch of Israelites that was over there, right? They started off as 5 million, and then obviously, I guess because of war and everything like that, and politics, we end up dwindling down to 50,000 people. And he said America wouldn't take them in to give them any type of, shelter or anything like that. They just let them go, which is how his family ended up having him leave, right? His pops ended up going to Brazil, and yeah, his mom is Puerto Rican, so that's how they ended up meeting up. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to play that so that y'all know there was people that was always known to be Israelites, wasn't just folks that were black that converted because of this guy that was a Mason. Nah, those guys knew about people like Dr. Ben, who, by the way, Dr. Ben ties into all this because his father was a part of the Marcus Garvey movement, right? And we know Marcus Garvey got a lot of his information from actual Hebrew Israelites that learned with and taught with F.S. Cherry and Wilson Crowdy, right? So, and later on, people that worked with Wentworth, right? So they would all be a part of this movement that Garvey started and then actually spanned past his lifetime or after he was exiled and stuff like that. And, there are people in our community that were also a part of that movement. Dr. Ben stands from that or spans from that. He was somebody that became a big time Afrocentric scholar, but was giving Afrocentrism from the standpoint of a black Jew, right? Which was weird to a lot of the Afrocentrics because they still didn't, as you see today, they never really acknowledged the such thing as a black Jew, just like the white people did. So Dr. Ben was always kind of a weird character in the society. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Priest Daniela and folks like that got to do some work with him back in the day. I do know he knew people that are in the community now, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Dr. Ben. But I just wanted to put that out there since we showed y'all the flip side, right? And brothers was thinking that our whole movement and the identity of Israelites comes from Masonry. That's not what it is. There was 2 Masons, 3 at most, if you count Wentworth, that happened, 3 brothers rather, that happened to be Masons that were lucky enough to walk or stumble into Masonry in a time period where they were actually getting information about us that was true. And they're able to match it up with different books and different records, kind of like your Nat Turners were, or your Harriet Araminta Tubman, right? Because Araminta is her real name, which is also a Hebrew word, right? So it's like there's people that knew who we were and always had the ties to be an Israelite, but they don't give you the full history when it comes to what they teach us in school and stuff. So yeah, there definitely are Masons in some camps. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there are some Masons in some camps, or former Masons, right? But again, I'm not even gonna say it's a bad thing. I'm not a Mason, but I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing because I know that there is information you could get from that, and it's not all tied to being evil, devil worship, and drinking blood and all that type of crap, crazy rituals. It's not really like that. That's, if you were listening to the video we played, that's stuff that they put out there it's propaganda to give it a bad rep so that people wouldn't actually try to find out what's taught in those type of organizations, right? But before that bad rep was given, when brothers was actually joining, right, the real ones, that's how you end up with a Wentworth Matthew and FS and Wilson Crowdy all becoming Masons, and Marcus Garvey and all them brothers, right? Because the information they were getting was real information. It wasn't stuff that was pseudo and all this satanic crap that they tell you happens in the lodges now. And when I speak to, because I know brothers that are Masons now, they'll tell you that stuff that we hear about don't really happen the way they say it happens, but it's propaganda that they're told to put out there to deter people from joining, right? So I just wanted to put that out there. Let me see what brothers are saying before we close up out of here. Yeah. All right, man. So
Hey, Zalakia,
yeah,
real quick.
I don't recommend to join them. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? There's a reputation that goes with Masonry, and the reputation comes from what, you know, Esau wants people to think about it, right? Just like the reputation of the Hebrew Israelites, right? That's something that's propaganda that they've put out to make people think a certain way about us, to make them not really listen to us when they do see us on the streets, right? Now it's a debate. I don't know if you guys realized it, but there's a spirit of when we out there, people will come and act like they're trying to listen, but really it's a debate they want to do because they're trying to test our knowledge now, because we're in the public eye, right? But it's propaganda that's making them think that they could do that. You feel what I'm saying? And once that propaganda doesn't work, that's when the famine of the word starts. And they're going to stop us from being out there on the streets, because they'll realize at some point they won't be able to stop us from giving the facts. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Howard. My bad.
No, I was just going to ask you, had you seen or heard that journalist, or no, I think she was a former lawyer, but Candace Owens, did you see that she got fired?
Nah, but I believe it.
And she just got fired for talking about Amalek.
Yeah, I believe it. She went on the Breakfast Club and said some things, and you know, she been going off. The only thing I don't like about Candace, and you know, some of the coons are gonna say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. She married to an Edomite."
Mm-hmm.
So she said a lot of good stuff. You know what I'm saying? She be telling the truth for sure, but it's hard to take it seriously because she lay in bed with the enemy, so it almost seems fake. You know what I'm saying? Like how you could talk about the Jewish man, but you having sex with their brother.
Come on.
She's like, you know what I'm saying? You're talking about your in-laws and stuff. That seemed kind of fake to me. So, but yeah. But that's it, man. That's all I got for y'all. The water to you, Howard, for pulling up on me, keeping me some company. You got anything you want to say, bro?
I'm here to help you to read for you.
Well, yeah, I was trying to tell Knock I didn't really have nothing to read. You know what? Hey, give me Luke chapter 12, verse 2. We'll bring that out. We'll get 2 scriptures. You could get that, and then we'll get Daniel. Close it up out here. But hope y'all enjoyed the class, man. Like the video when y'all come in. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm getting tired of doing all this research for videos and to get this a little bit of support that we've been getting lately. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's feeling like a waste of time. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot of other things I could be doing on a Monday for free. And a lot of things I could be doing throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? Besides getting information to give y'all, and folks don't even watch it, or at the least like the video, right? So if I pull up one day and say this the last Milk Monday, don't be surprised, because I be feeling like that lately. The support, it ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And brothers be doing a lot of work. Not just me, Howard, he make a class every week. It takes a lot to come up with a class for y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to teach it and be upbeat, knowing the support is ass, it's not really, conducive to keeping brothers wanting to continue to do it. So if y'all like the lessons for real and y'all want to support, you know what I'm saying, I ask that y'all please do it. Stop hiding from brothers. If not, continue to do what y'all doing, and the classes eventually will stop. Promise you that. So, but that's all I got. Got anything, Howard? Read scriptures.
All right, this is the book of Luke, chapter 12 and verse 2. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known.
See that? So there's nothing covered that shall not be revealed, man. You know what I'm saying? All things in the dark gonna come to the light.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And the ones that are the real light bearers, the reason Baruch chapter 4 tells us to be illuminated and to walk in the light thereof is because we have the light. The light is the law, statutes, and commandments that God gave us, right? We're supposed to let that light shine by walking in that light, walking in the law. So that's what you're supposed to do, right? And part of walking in the law, walking in the light, is giving the people the things that's going to set them free. And that's information, right? Knowledge of self. So, you know, that's the whole goal with the classes we do, which is why it makes sense for y'all to watch them and support them, because it's only knowledge that's going to help y'all be better and to learn more about yourselves in the situations that we find ourselves in now, right? So it's Luke 12:2. All things going to come to the light, basically. Let's get that Daniel chapter 7. We can get up out of here.
This is the book
To the
of Daniel.
loyal supporters, the water.
Right. The water. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7, and verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Yeah.
All right, man. So that is all I got for y'all today. Yeah, here we go. So we'll see y'all next week, man. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the class. Hit the like button when y'all come in the building or when y'all leaving the building, whatever it is, right? Y'all get ready for the Wild Out Wednesday we got coming up. I know Howard are gonna have some fire for y'all. And
Passover.
Yeah. Passover for sure. Y'all make sure y'all get y'all tickets if y'all haven't got them yet. Please get y'all tickets before it's too late. Because once we shut that down, I don't want to hear nobody calling me the day before Passover. Yo, bro, like, y'all still got... Nah, bro. Like, there's a lot of y'all did that last year. People coming in day of, texting them, hey, bro, we come to Passover. We didn't let y'all know for over a month now. Just go on the website and get your tickets. AnointedHouseOfSaints.org, right? Or is it AnointedHOS.org?
AnointedHOS.
AnointedHOS.org, right? Go on there, find the ticket link, get your tickets based on how many people you coming or that you have coming. And, you know, we wearing white. Pull up. All right. Daniel 7:18.
Let me get it again. This is the book of Daniel.
Yeah, one more time.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Kwam Yashala.
Yeah, Kwam Yashala. Once again.
This is not a test.
Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus.